And it's coming up on clock, and we'll just wait a few minutes. And the idea tonight, we're trying to explain how to get your smart speakers working with your Wi-Fi, especially with the Verizon Wi-Fi, and dealing with Google and Verizon customer service, which I found gives you the wrong advice over and over. Spent many days, many hours working with Verizon and Google to try to get the smart speaker to connect with the Wi-Fi. And they give you the usual advice, unplug it, plug it back in, over and over, and none of it works. And so tonight, by the end of this thing, we'll probably give you how to actually set up your Wi-Fi in your smart speaker so they'll work if they stop working. Okay, so it's about time to try to explain how to get your smart speaker to work when it stopped working. Okay, this started about a month ago. Have a Google mini speaker, or they call it also a Nest mini speaker, and it just stopped working. It's been working for years and years and years. Okay, and it just stopped working. So your typical response is you unplug it, plug it back in to reset it, and that didn't work. You go to your Wi-Fi router, unplug that, reset it, and that didn't work. And then you reinstall your app, like in this case, you got your Google Home app, and they're constantly updating that every few weeks at least. So you want to make sure you got the right version, and I mean typically you do because it'll automatically download the latest version. And unfortunately, though, everybody doesn't get the latest version at the same time. They spread it out. So even though the latest version might be 4.2 or something, you might have 4.18, and you have to wait till they give you the latest version. So originally, when the smart speaker stopped working, I thought, well, it's something to do with their updating their apps, and I don't have the correct app to do the Google Home to install the smart speaker. And so you wait around for days or weeks to see if you get an update, and then you get an update and you try to install it again. It still doesn't work. Okay, now Google has recently, a couple weeks ago, they started selling a Google, they call it Google Home speaker, I believe, and it's just it's a larger version of the speakers they had before. And so once they introduced that one, they're no longer selling the other speakers, so those you cannot buy new anymore. And here's the this speaker that I've got, the mini speaker. This is the version 1, and then there's a second version which looks exactly the same, and they call it the Nest Google Nest Google Mini. Okay, so wait for the Google Home versions to come out and the app version, see if they work, and they didn't. And then I thought, well, maybe there's something wrong. In this case, we're using a Verizon Home Wi-Fi. I can't remember the name of what they call that, but it's a Verizon box that captures a signal from a local cell tower. All right, so I thought that maybe there's something wrong with that one, or they've updated that, and then there's something wrong with the version. So the next step is, since we've turned everything off, turned it on numerous times, waited for the app, nothing happened. So the next thing is to try to contact the customer support or customer no support at Google. or Verizon. I can't remember which one we tried first, but I'll go through the one with Google. So you go on your Google service thing, your chat thing, your help, and you're basically talking to somebody. And I'm pretty sure the people you're chatting with are in Indonesia because their language or their sentence structures and the words they use are a bit odd. Um, so that's where I suspect they are. Okay, and they're real reassuring when you get on there with Google. They'll say, "Oh, don't worry, we will absolutely help you. We will get your speaker working, no problem. Just stay with me, and we'll get it working." You hear that a lot. They have a canned thing. No worry, we'll get it working. Don't just work with us. Okay, so they of course go through the same thing you've been trying for weeks. Tell you to unplug it, wait 30 seconds or something, plug it back in. Okay, and then you reset it, and the stuff you've been doing all along, and then that doesn't work. Okay, so and you're on the chat with them for a long, long time. I mean, you can be there for hours. Okay, and so, and by the way, to reset your mini speaker, by the way, the original one looks like this, and there's a little button on the very bottom, and you literally just press it in for about 15 seconds, and then you hear a sound, and that resets it, so it kind of erases all the programming it's already had in it. So that's the way you reset this. The version 2 looks the same, except you do it a different way. You have to turn off the speaker, which is if I can find it on this. There's a little button over here, and you just turn off the speaker, and then you'll see a little orange setting that means it's off. And then on that second version, you press down in the center for about 10-15 seconds, and it'll warn you that it's going to be resetting. And if you don't want to reset it, to release it. But if you want to reset it, just keep holding it down for about 10-15 seconds. Then you'll hear a sound, a chime sound, and that means it's reset. So the first version of the speaker, you press on the bottom. The second version, you turn off the speaker, press down on for 10-15 seconds, and that resets it, and then turn your speaker back on with the little button on the side. Okay, so in one of these solutions, the lady from Indonesia presumably had, she said, unplug your speaker 11 times. Yes, 11 times. So, and you're supposed to wait, I can't remember what it was, wait 30 seconds or something in between. So you unplug it, count 30 seconds, plug it in, unplug it, count 30 seconds, and she told you to do that 11 times. And you thought, well, maybe there's some secret thing that nobody knows. So, after 11 times, plug it back in. Okay, and then they have you hook it back up with your, install it with your Google Home app. So you add a device and tell a location, if you've gone through this, you know the kind of process where the speaker will ding that it's been found, and then you try to connect it to your Wi-Fi, and then you wait till it connects to the Wi-Fi. And what's happening to a lot of people is it won't connect to the Wi-Fi. They'll give you a message, unable to connect the Wi-Fi, and it gives you different messages. It might say wrong password, unable to find the Wi-Fi, but something to that effect that it can't find the Wi-Fi, or it claims you have the wrong password. And both of those are wrong. I mean, you had the right password on your account because you've used it before, and just all of a sudden stopped working. So we thought, well, maybe somehow the password got changed or something. And the password is on the bottom of your router, your modem thing. So you just check that. Yeah, sure enough, there it is, and the same password. Okay, so anyway, so the Indonesian gal says, okay, well let's try it again. Uninstall the Google Home app. So you uninstall the Google Home app and then reinstall it. So you do that, and of course we've already done that before. We've done that dozens of times, thinking that's the obvious thing they try to have you do. So, but she has to go through the thing, and of course saying, "Oh, don't worry, we will fix it. No worries, we'll fix it." Right. Okay. So anyway, so now this hour's gone by and still not working. So they sometimes will go to another person to see if they can get some extra help, and nothing's working. I mean, it's just ridiculous. Okay, then they say, okay, so then we hang. Well, sometimes you'll get disconnected. Apparently, there's something that will disconnect you after a certain amount of time, or just by accident you just get disconnected. So you come back later, you come back next day, go through the whole same thing again. You have to start from the beginning, do all the instructions they say. Even if you tell them that you've done this dozens of times before, they say, "Oh, don't worry, we'll fix it. Just follow my instructions." So you go through the whole thing all over again. Okay, and then there's on your phone, you can do a diagnostic. Well, at least on Verizon, probably everybody, they've got you can go to your, uh, check on your Wi-Fi router or modem, and it'll go through a diagnostic thing to see if it's working or not. Verizon, it's called the My Verizon app. So you download the My Verizon app, and it gives you all information about your account and about your and all the technical stuff and how to check your router and all that. Okay, so you can go through and do a diagnostic. And so they went through the diagnostic and it said the router, the home Wi-Fi thing is not functioning right. And then you go to a place, what to do about that. And they say, well, it might be under warranty. And then this one was several years old, so it was not under warranty. So it looks like, oh boy, you can't get a replacement. And then you go to some other little place on the app, and it says, well, you may be able to get a replacement for free. So I follow that thread, and then it says, yeah, just call back with the chat lady and tell her you want, just tell her you want another Wi-Fi home Wi-Fi thing. And so then, of course, she wants to check it. So she'll have you go through the whole procedure again, just to make sure it doesn't work. And we say, oh, no, we've already did this. And it says the thing is not working. It's not functioning. So we need to get another one. Can we get another one? And so, another hour goes by. It's a long time. And so eventually she says, oh, okay, well, don't worry, we'll fix it. We'll get you another one. And will it be free? Yes, it'll be free. No cost to you at all. Okay, just let me get some information here. And then, she asks for the name and all this stuff and address. And then she says, okay, well, now I'll make a note on your record that you are going to get a free one. And you just go to your local Verizon place and they'll look up your account and it'll tell them that you're to get a free one. Okay, great. So, this is like weeks later, hours and hours later. Oh, okay, we're going to get a free one. So there's something wrong with this one. That's why it's not working. So we go to our local LaBelle, Florida Verizon store. And unfortunately, there wasn't a line, or maybe one or two people. So we got up to the young guy, and he's a new guy there, but he seems to kind of know what he's doing. So we took the Google speaker in, we took the Verizon Wi-Fi home box thing in, and so he tried to see if he could connect it up. So he goes through exactly the same things we've been doing for weeks and hours, he does exactly the same thing. But he's playing around with his computer and playing around with his phone and everything. Well, maybe he knows something we don't know. And it's probably another hour we're sitting there trying to wait for him to do it. Surprisingly, they're that patient to go through all this stuff, but nothing worked. So Oh, well, we told him, they said we could get a brand new one, so we told him up front, but he still wants to go through all this stuff to see if it's working. Okay, and then at the end, he goes in the back room, pulls out a new unit with a new box, and they're a little bigger than the version we had because it's the latest version. They don't have the old version anymore. And it looks like he's going to give us the new one. And then he plays around his computer, plays around. And then he says, well, we can't give you one. And we said, well, wait a minute. The lady online said we can get one, and it's marked right on the account that we can get one. Oh, no, no, we can't, because I can't remember what his reason was, but I knew ahead of time they're going to find some way not to give you a new one. And sure enough, that's what happened. He would not give a new one. Okay, now he came up with all kinds of excuses. All right, so he is playing with his computer and his phone, and he says, well, this new Wi-Fi thing we have here, it doesn't work with certain addresses, and it doesn't work at your address. And you're thinking, what's he talking about? We've had this thing going for years, and he's saying the new box that you can get does not work with the Google speaker. Oh, no, it doesn't work. The tower's thing is set up, the cell tower, it just doesn't work at your address. And so we tried another address, and oh, no, it didn't work there either. I says, okay, well, how about your address? So the guy puts his address, and I can't remember if he said it worked. There's certain things that work at his address and certain things that won't. And then I said, well, where's the tower at? And because he's saying it won't work because the tower is too far away or it's not in the right direction or something. And I said, where's the tower? Oh, I don't know where the tower is. Well, I know where the tower is. I can look out the window and you can see the tower. So that didn't fly either. It's the tower problem. All right, so we couldn't get the new unit, and he couldn't get the thing to work. So we go back and contact Google, see if they can figure it out. And they go through the same thing: unplug it, plug it in, reset it, get it, reload the app again, and nothing works. And then after hours, they say, "Okay, we're going to work on this, and we'll give you a call. We'll contact you in 24 to 48 hours." Right. Well, there was no contact. That's just their way of saying goodbye. Okay, so Google, after hours spent time with them, they don't fix it either. They don't know what they're talking about. So, yes, they never contacted. Okay, so then we, contact Verizon again and say, well, we went to the store, like you said, and they wouldn't give us the thing. And then now the lady says, oh, don't worry, we'll get it fixed for you. No worry at all. Okay, here's what we'll do. We're going to mail this to you. So she gives the right address and everything. Says, okay, you not worry. We're going to have this fixed for you. Don't worry. We're taking care of it. We'll send this directly to you. It'll be there in I think it was 2 to 3 days. So we say, oh, good. They're going to send us one now. Because even though the Verizon store guy said this thing's not going to work, that seemed improbable because we can see the tower out the window. And the one we had's been working for years. So why wouldn't this new one work? And why would Verizon say it won't work at that address? Made no sense. So, okay, now we're thinking, okay, oh boy, we get this new one in a couple of days. Oh boy, can't hardly wait. So 2 days passed, 3 days passed, 4 days passed, nothing. All right, so we call up, okay, Verizon lady in Indonesia, you said we're going to be sent a new home Wi-Fi thing. Didn't arrive. Oh, well, let me check. Oh no, we didn't send you one. What? You didn't send us one? No, we didn't send you one because I can't remember what the excuse was. We found that yours was working, or I can't remember because now you're so flustered. You spent so many hours, so many days, weeks figuring this thing out. Whatever they say is going to make no sense. So the promised new Wi-Fi box did not arrive, and then they tell us they're not going to send us one. So now they've lied twice. They said we can get one at the store. They're going to mail us one. They've lied twice. Okay, so now I don't want to give up. I want to figure out there must be a way to do that. It has nothing to do with the tower. It has probably nothing to do with the Wi-Fi box because it's been working for years. It may have something to do with Google updating their app. So we still waited around for a while to see if they had a new updated app. But all along, I mean, for years I've known basically how these speakers and they call it the Internet of Things, IoT, all the smart bulbs and smart locks and all this stuff. They operate on a frequency of 2.4 gigahertz. And that's how they're operated because that frequency can travel a pretty good distance in your house, across your whole house. And then the other frequency it's used for the internet is 5 gigahertz. And it's faster, but it doesn't go as quite as far distance through the walls and stuff. So all your smart speakers, your light bulbs, and that kind of stuff is generally on the 2.4 gigahertz frequency. And so your normal router will switch between the two. It knows that the light bulb needs 2.4, your speaker needs 2.4, your laptop or phone needs 5, and so it knows and it switches to the correct one. So I thought, well, maybe the Verizon Wi-Fi thing is not switching correctly, and it just broke. So the solution would be to set the Wi-Fi to the 2.4 frequency so it would work on the smart speaker or light bulbs or whatever. And so now we're getting into how you can solve this issue that many people are having. If you Google, speaker not able to connect to Wi-Fi, it's a widespread problem. Okay, so now we're getting to the solution. Okay, so the theory is you need to get your Wi-Fi router working on 2.4 gigahertz for your speaker. All right, and how do you do that? Okay, well, there's two ways. You can go directly to your router through like your computer or your phone. You go to your web browser, your Chrome or whatever you're using, Safari, and you put in 192.68.1.1, and that's the common number you put in to get to a site that allows you to fiddle with your router. It's 192.168.1.1. Okay, so you put that in, and it will bring up your particular router. It pretty much doesn't even matter what brand you got. So the Verizon one works like that, or whatever you got. Okay, and then there's all kinds of settings in there, and it can be a little complicated if you've never played around with it before. But basically, what we're trying to do is get the router to recognize 2.4 gigahertz to get your home speaker working. Okay, so that's the first way you can do it is, like I say, ending at 192.168.1.1. Okay, and then you go to the tab in there that indicates, well, you got to put in your username and your password, and you can find that on the bottom of your router, on your router somewhere on the back. It has the username and the password. So you enter that stuff in, and then that connects you right directly into your Wi-Fi router. Okay, and then you find a tab that says Wi-Fi at the top of the menu somewhere, and then you select Guest Wi-Fi Network. And Guest Wi-Fi Network is just what it says. You set that up usually if you've got a guest that you want to use your Wi-Fi, but you don't want them to know your passwords and all that stuff, or get into what you're doing. You can set them up on the guest Wi-Fi, and then they can't see what you're doing, or know your password or anything. Okay, and the guest network is always set up for 2.4, which is the slower network but it travels farther in your house through the walls and stuff. Okay, and then when you get to the guest Wi-Fi network, there's a little switch somewhere that it most likely says disabled at this point. So you got to get on that switch and toggle it to say enable or turn on. So you want to turn on the guest Wi-Fi network. Okay, now the next thing you got to do is you got to set a guest Wi-Fi name. They call it SSID. Okay, so you put in a name like Verizon guest or whatever you want. And then you got to put a password. And it's important because it's already set up with your own password for the router, your regular one. So you can't have the same password. So you got to set a new password. So change the password on that, change the name on it, and then save. There'll be a button to say save. Okay, now, so once you go through that, you will now have a network for a guest, or in this case, for your Google speaker, or smart speaker, or whatever you're trying to work that's not working. Okay, now then you can keep that open, but you can just close that out. And now you go to your phone, or to set up your like the Google Home app. You got to go to the phone, get to the Google Home app, and then you go through the process where you add a device, in this case the speaker. So you want to add the speaker, and then it'll ask you which Wi-Fi network you want to join, which room it's in, and then you go to which Wi-Fi you want to set up, and you're looking for the guest Wi-Fi. It might not show up, so you might have to enter it manually, whatever name you put, Verizon guest or whatever. Put that in there. It asks for a password, and then you got to put in the password new password you had, and then you go through the process on the Google Home app, and then save it, and well, not save it, but it'll connect with your Wi-Fi successfully and show it on your home app, and it will work. Okay, now after that, you want to set your phone back to your regular network, so you can go back to your Wi-Fi settings, go to your settings, go to your Wi-Fi, and then log into your regular Wi-Fi name and so forth that you've been using before. So the only reason you're using the guest Wi-Fi is to log into the Google Home app so that it can connect with your speaker, and then after that it's all set up, and then you just go back to your regular Wi-Fi. Okay, now second way to do it, if you don't want to go through that web browser with the 192.168.1.1, you can do the same thing in Verizon's case on what they call the My Verizon app. And it does the same process, but you're just using it on your phone. So you download the My Verizon app, or My whatever phone you're using, and go to the Home tab and select whatever your device is. This is the Verizon Gateway, Home Gateway or something, I think they call it. And then similarly, the other process, you go to your Wi-Fi networks, and then it's got a primary tab, and then you go to guest Wi-Fi. So you're trying to find the guest Wi-Fi as your goal here. Okay, and then the same thing when you get to the guest Wi-Fi, you want to enable that because it probably says disabled or not working or off. So you want to enable that guest network, and then same thing, you got to put a new network name in, a new name for that, the SSID, and a new password. Okay, and then you do the same thing we did before. You go to your Wi-Fi, your settings where you log into a Wi-Fi, but instead of logging into what you're on already, your regular Wi-Fi, you want to look for that guest Wi-Fi, whatever you've named it, and then you go to that, and then you sign, or you put your password in, and then it'll start. Well, no, so you're on the guest network, and then you go back to your Google Home app, and go through the process of adding the speaker, which room it's in, then which network it's on, and then it starts connecting to it, and then it'll show you successfully connected to the Wi-Fi, and then you're all set. And then same thing as before, you go back and change your Wi-Fi to your regular Wi-Fi. Just log out of the guest Wi-Fi and go to your regular one. So that is the two ways to do it, either using your web browser, going to that 192.168.1.1, or use your app for your phone, like my Verizon app or whatever app uh, goes into your router stuff. So anyway, uh, that's the only thing that worked after lots and lots of trying. So anyway, I hope that works for you. And if anybody has any questions, anything, leave some comments and see if you've been able to successfully do that. But basically, you can't. You're almost wasting your time dealing with your phone company or Google because they're absolutely going to waste your time. So anyway, okay, so that's our month-long search on how to get the Google Speaker working, and that works. All right, that's about it for today, and we will now sign off for tonight. I'm just playing around here with some different buttons.